Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 9 minutes after 7 o'clock now. Sometimes you get that letter that says, I'm sorry, no vacancies are available, or we'll put your letter on file for another consideration, and you feel as though you are being constantly overlooked. What could you possibly be not doing right? Well, we do have with us this morning Britney Seeley, who is the Chief Executive Officer and the founder of Work Consultancy Incorporated, who will help us with that. Good morning to you, Ms. Seeley.
Hi, good morning, Pearson. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Good to know that you're doing well indeed. So, we often get that sometimes, that dreadful response to our application that we didn't get the job. And we feel so dejected, as though no one cares. Is that a fair reaction?
Definitely. And as I was listening in before my segment, I thought that it was wonderful that we were talking about burnout because those who are job hunting right now are kind of experiencing the same thing. They're applying for many positions and they feel like nobody's responding to them. But I even want to remind persons right now with the unemployment rate that is climbing, I believe the last figures we got in 2020 were estimated around 40% or so. You need to know that you're not in this alone. And therefore, I just want to encourage people definitely to keep going and hopefully these tips can help them.
Okay, so keep going, but you don't want to be constantly butting your head against the wall and nothing seems to be working. So, we're going.
Definitely.
So, show me how then do I really make an impression so that I can actually get my foot in the door?
For sure. So, firstly, as I mentioned, the job market right now is extremely difficult to get into. But I have three tips for you, which you may want to consider. So, the first thing is that your cover letter is probably not standing out. And you may wonder why. So, everyone is saying, I am a hardworking and dedicated individual since Adam was a lad. But what does that actually mean? What makes you different? What makes you stand out? And so, you may want to consider highlighting those other factors that would make you stand out amongst employers. Are you agile? Are you motivated? Are you innovative? What are these different things that employers are seeking for right now that you can mention? And
So
to
those
add
are
to
some
that,
those are some keywords that I need to be able to put into my cover letter.
definitely, definitely. And you can even Google what are some of these skills that employers are looking for in 2021. I believe Forbes did an amazing article on it. And just go ahead and Google search and sure, don't lie on your CV,
I was
but
just going to
pull
say
some of
that.
those skills, definitely.
So be honest, but nevertheless, say the things about you that are true, that you're driven, you're focused, you're innovative, and those kinds of things. So our cover letter is so very, very critical, how we introduce ourselves basically to the company. How long should
Yeah.
that letter be?
Well, right now, employers don't want extremely long letters. So I would say about a page is just enough, depending on the position that you're going for. If you're going for an executive level position, probably 1 to 2 pages, but definitely no more than that right now.
I want to look, though, at the structure of that invitation letter, that cover letter, and particularly with young people today who have swamped themselves around social media, and so their ways of communicating can be so faulty. They don't approach it in quite the professional way. So, what advice do you want to give to them?
Tell your story. And there are so many organizations out there that are willing to assist you, whether it's with a CV review, a CV revamp, but you want to ensure that that cover letter and your CV makes you stand out because you're not even going to be acknowledged for the interview if that is not on point.
If the cover letter and the CV don't stand out. But the language
Yep.
used, that's what I'm looking at. Because sometimes, they address you like, they know who you are and they don't take the time to state who you are. Or they get lazy with the language. And you're saying also pay particular attention to that because I'm one who, when I read the cover letter, I want to ensure that you're following basic English structures.
Yes, and as I mentioned, that's where the CV reviews come into play and the CV revamps because there are persons out there who would be able to guide you. But I know during this time where persons are especially cash strapped, family members may even be able to review that CV. So this is where you want to encourage everyone to get involved because you don't want to do it alone.
So don't just send it out, have a review done before you send it out.
Definitely.
Let's then look at the CV now, the curriculum vitae, or do people simply call it resume? How do we structure that?
Now, the first thing to mention is that many employers now are using the applicant tracking system, definitely with the rise in technology. So you do want to ensure, again, that you have those critical words in your CV. You mention your skills, whether it be software development, whether it be critical thinking. You want to have it plain there for the employer. Therefore, persons are able to adequately pick out your CV and then select you for an interview. Another thing that I would mention, take the time to go through some previous vacancies. What are some of the words that they're looking for? Is it the same dedicated? Is it the same driven, innovative, creative? And try to use some of these on your CV as well, because this again would make you stand out. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. The employers are telling you what you're looking for. Therefore, it's important to have different CVs laid out. So let's say you were laid off in the tourism industry. You have both sales skills and you have customer service skills. Perhaps you want to consider doing two separate CVs, maybe for a customer service position and then for a sales position, where you can focus on those key skills that employers are searching for in the vacancies.
Because you don't want to overwhelm that employer either, even with your CV.
Definitely. And they don't have the time right now, Pearson. Like I mentioned, it is so inundated. They're very inundated right now.
Hmm.
And with the job market being so tight and saturated, persons want to know this person would be a great fit for the organization. I'm going to move your name from here to here. So make it cookie cutter.
Agree with you. The use of graphics and pictures and so forth in the CV, is that critical?
It
Important?
depends on the position. It
Hmm.
depends on the position. If you're going for a more creative position, maybe even something in journalism, you would have to let me know. But that is where you can tend to get more creative. However, if you're going for a more administrative role, again, do your research on the organization, check out their company culture. Do they like things, more laid out, more formatted, or do they like things a bit more creative? This is where research is key.
So far we've done two things. Check our cover letter, make sure that it is in compliance and it's really attractive and stands out. The same thing with our CV. So what's your third tip for us this morning as we go job hunting?
To use your resources. Like I mentioned, the job market, again, you need to use your resources. And I can understand maybe even in Barbadian culture, no one likes to say that I am unemployed or I'm in between jobs right now. But people need to understand that it is okay. We are in a pandemic and there are so many persons who are unemployed right now. And therefore, you are not in this alone. So check out your family members, ask them to keep an eye out for certain positions, whether it be in the paper, online, get connected to different companies on LinkedIn and Instagram, Facebook who are sharing these tips. Use as many resources as you have because that is really what is going to make you stand out right now.
So shop around, essentially look around and read the papers, listen to the radio, watch the television, go onto your social media, everywhere that there's something, some information about a job, you check it out. But you don't at the
Yes,
same time do not want to undersell yourself because you also have value. So not every job necessarily is applicable to you, I suppose.
definitely. And again, that's where it comes back to reading the job description carefully and not just sending out applications willy nilly because I understand that it's very difficult for persons right now. But again, what is your self worth? What are you willing to take? Is this organization fit for you? Is the company culture fit for you? So these are all questions that you need to ask yourself when applying.
You're asking me to be honest with myself, essentially, because I'm just looking for a job. And now you're telling me to, Pearson, revisit yourself. Are you really competent enough in this particular position you're applying for, and so forth? So there's a whole ounce of honesty that has to come into this process.
I think you just made a very critical point because oftentimes persons are not satisfied in their positions for that very same reason. They did not examine themselves and really focus on their passions and their likes. And therefore, they're stuck in jobs and they're a bit unhappy and they wish they could have been doing something else. But here is where you now have the opportunity to take a look in the mirror and say, is this job really for me? Is this something I want to be doing 9 to 5, 8 to 4 every day for the next couple of years? This now is where it makes a difference.
In terms of stickability, though, because sometimes you see some applications from some younger people and they're constantly moving, constantly changing. How would an employer view something like that?
Well, again, it depends on the company culture. Some persons have high turnover rates, and other employers are looking to, keep persons in the organization for longer periods of time. But this is where you focus on professional development. How do you make yourself that high quality employee that one, a company would love to have for a long time, and two, you also enjoy the work environment. So here's where personal development and professional development becomes especially important.
I'm just curious as to how we sell that, because when you look at it, the reality is you're saying he spent 6 months here, a year and a half there, 3 months after that, and he's just constantly moving. How does one turn that into a positive as opposed to a negative?
Well, it's all based on the experience. So, for example, if your experience adds up in sales, whether at various positions, it's how you then sell yourself on your CV and in the interview room. Well, I would have did a job here and another one there, so that I now understand the sales industry even on a wider landscape. You make it sound good that you have been in different positions and therefore you are now better suitable for this organization because you can give them a full picture of the sales industry.
It's about the experience. Thank you so much, Britney Seeley, CEO and founder of Work Consultancy Incorporated. Excellent sage advice you've given to us this morning on why our cover letter should stand out, how we should position our curriculum vitae or resume, and to use our resources really if we really want to make an impact and find the job that best suits us today. Thank you so very much for joining us on Morning Barbados.
Thank you so much, Pearson. Take care.
You too. Thank you.